afternoon, everybody. It's Ira J. Ackery, your host of the All Hands on Deck show. This is the first show of the season, and we're excited. I am so excited to have with me my new co-host, a longtime friend, a civil rights leader. He was a West Side leader, and he has been a national leader from the Rainbow Push Coalition, and he's now an interim pastor on the West Side. Greg, it is a privilege to have you on the show today.
Reverend Dr. Ira Ackery, my friend, my fellow freedom fighter, one of the greatest pastors in the world, and this young man, because I'm his senior, you know, he is just an incredible guy. He can sing, he can preach, he can play the keyboards, he can do it all, you know. But you know what? It's a pleasure to be here, man. I've always loved this show, and thank you for inviting me to co-host it with you, and looking forward to really helping an awful lot of people through this vehicle here.
That's one of the reasons I wanted you on, because when you are on the show, I don't have to look for issues to talk about. You live this stuff. You walk this stuff. What have you been doing lately? What issues you been on top of?
Well, you know, we've been working with this together on this Robert Rialmo case, the police officer that shot and killed Quintonio LeGrier and Betty Jones. And really, you know, we've been in meetings with Superintendent Johnson and other folk concerned about this, concerned about the decisions that were made by the powers, because we have to go back to our communities and explain why things happen or why they don't happen. And Dr. Ackery, you understand this more than anybody, that it's getting hot in Chicago, and we're really trying to prevent another bloody summer.
Absolutely.
I just saw a stat recently that 60 children under the age of 15 have already been shot. And I believe, and you believe, because we're in the faith business, that even though it might seem hopeless, we believe in hope that something can be done.
Well, I'm so grateful to have you being on the front line. And we've got to learn how to use venues just like CAN TV. And we're going to be coming this way for the next 13 weeks. Greg Livingston and Ira Ackery, we're going to be talking about the issues that matters the most to those of us who've been neglected in these urban communities.
Yes, sir.
All across the country.
Without a doubt.
If you want to chime in with a question or a comment for Gregory C. Livingston or myself, the number is 312-738-1060. It's ironic that you mentioned about we met with the superintendent recently, because we are committed to having a no bloody summer. That's the hashtag that you guys should watch out for. It was originated by Greg a few years ago after the Laquan McDonald police cover-up here in Chicago. And so that's a hashtag we will be using because certainly we want to make sure that there's no bloody summer.
That's right. We have to put that out there in the consciousness. We got to let people know. You know, we're talking to the citizens and the police department, because there are some police officers that don't understand why people are outside. You know, why are they hanging outside? Because they don't have air conditioning inside their homes.
Preach.
And so they're outside. And so we need somebody to help you to understand that particular culture. And that's something that you just can't get in the academy, but you got to have a relationship with those that are in relationship with the people.
Greg, tomorrow is the 4th of July.
Yes, sir.
And man, I get emotional because I am aware of 3 young people who lost their lives personally during this particular season. I can think of Ashley Hardiman, Tiffany Hardiman's daughter, a promising young college student. And I can also think of nephew Boo Boos, that's what they call him, his little boy, Amari Brown, a kid 9 or 8 years old. And then this little angel that belongs to Ashaki Banks, Heaven Sutton.
Yes.
These are people, these are just not statistics. These are real people who have gotten gunned down in the neighborhood by someone who looks like you and me.
That's right.
And so we have been on the front line. We are hoping to have some public service announcements with young people and people who have relationships with young people and faith leaders, asking everyone to put all hands on deck.
Yes.
So that we can have a safe summer, a no bloody summer. We can do it.
We can do it. We can do it. Yes, sir.
I want to ask the question, what are some of the things we can do to have a no bloody summer? I mean, let me just tell you, I started in Greater St. John. One of the things that we are doing, is we have a summer camp, just a place beginning next week, and it's free. That's why I don't mind talking about it. It's next week, and if you're on the west side, you want to be a part of a summer camp, you don't have any money, 773-378-3300. You can go right to my line, extension 10, because I'm very serious about it. I'm hands-on. Met with the staff today. We want to make a difference. We want to present, as we work in partnership with CPS and other churches, our church as a safe haven. That's one of the things we're doing. We're going to be doing some prayer walks in the neighborhood with our gentleman called the Supermen's Ministry, because we believe when men stand up,
yes,
out of control, young boys will have to sit down.
That's right.
But there are other churches doing things what can a concerned citizen do?
I think that if you have a church in your community, you need to find out if their doors are going to be open and it's a place where kids can go and hang out or do whatever, And if they don't know how to do it, you can contact the Leaders Network, contact Reverend Acri, or contact myself, or contact some other leader out there that's doing it, and they will help people to do things. A lot of people want to do it, they just don't know how. And we're really about serving the public, we're about serving the community, and so don't be embarrassed, don't think that you're supposed to know everything. I've made plenty of mistakes. I've had many failures, but guess what? The real key is that you hang on in there and you keep going, because good things do happen.
And the ground is no place for a champion.
Come on, Doc. Skippy Dippy.
And I'm telling you, and you had some health challenges.
Yes.
You had some ordeals you had to deal with, like I have. But you get back up.
That's right.
And you don't stay down. So if there's any other organizations that are doing something, I want to put a plug in for one of the great organizations on the west side that we're in partnership with, and actually was birthed out of our church years ago, College Mentoring Experience, giving young people a place to hang out as well during the summer, all right, and also all year, but really extensively during the summer. All right, 312-738-1060, 312-738-1060. A lot of people are tuning in on Facebook Live, and they're posing questions. I challenge those of you that are on Facebook Live to call in so the people in this national audience can hear your question. 312-738-1060.
Because Reverend Acri, I'll be interested to hear some of the listeners. Do you think that Officer Rialmo should be fired? Do you think that his testimony and the testimonies that were given, the testimonies of Quintonio's father and the like, that talked about the Quintonio and Betty being on the porch and the officers being down there on the ground, and I've talked to plenty of police officers that told me, they said, look, the way we do it is that you got a nightstick or something. If they don't have a gun, you break their arm to get that knife or that club out of their arm.
Sure.
And one of my cop friends said, man, I got scars from wrestling people. I had to fight them because I couldn't shoot them because they didn't have a gun. So we know there was no gun on the other side. What do you all think about that?
And let me tell you, we're not going to let up off of this road cop, Robert Rialmo, and people of the like. Let me say, the reason I have no hesitance about my actions, because of this, we have some great police officers.
We sure do.
On the board. The reason I know we have some great police officers, I can name so many that go to my church and that I pastor. I can go down the list. I can name you a dozen awesome police officers that go to my church who put their lives on the line every day. And I'm not going to call their names, because when they come to church on Sunday, they just want to have church and get their faith fed.
That's right.
And, and their souls some nourishment.
Yes.
But we have some great police officers, but we must get the killer cops off the street. Recently, we were dealt a horrific blow. African Americans have to deal with the fact that they have been dealing injustice by the Chicago Police Department, the city, the state's attorney, the superintendent, because of the fact that Officer Robert Riamo murdered a 19-year-old boy who was once a ward of the state because he had a baseball bat in his hand, and he killed a 55-year-old mother, Miss Betty Jones, an innocent mother. The city even said that he made a mistake. You know, wait a minute, made a mistake? That is very weak. So he shoots a person and all he can say is, my bad? Are you serious? You can shoot a person, take someone's life and say, oops. It's a pretty big mistake. And there should be a penalty for that. He's still on the force, being paid with taxpayers' dollars. State's attorney Kim Fox never charged him. Never charged him. Superintendent Eddie Johnson stood by him and said it was a legal shoot. Judge Rena Marie Van Tyne, I want to say her name, Judge Rena Marie Van Tyne nullified the actions of a jury that was going to award the family with a little over $1 million. And she nullified the actions, threw it out of court, and basically vindicated this gentleman. What are we to do about this?
You know, the people, we have to continue to organize because we're up against the powers. It's obvious. There's an opposition out there. There's an opposition that's trying to control the land, trying to control the money. And so when they close those 50 schools, it costs taxpayers $1 million a day to maintain those 50 closed schools.
Sure.
Now, that's $360 million a year that could have went to after-school programs, could have went to food programs, could have went to vaccination and health programs. But there was a waste of money because they didn't want to waste it on a particular group of people. Let's call it like it is. We have to stand up and continue to fight. We've made progress, but we can't rest just because we won a couple of games. The season is not over. We got to keep going. And we got to, guys like Akron, now we've been out here for a while and we've been doing this, and I'm going to tell you something. You get tired, you get jaded, you get disappointed, you get betrayed. Things happen. But guess what? The real key is that you hang on in there. And if you hang on in there, you never know. One day you might end up on the LA Lakers.
The race is not given to the swift or the strong,
but to he
that endureth to the end.
Yes, sir.
Hang on in there. We will not quit. We will be relentless. And we must be resolute.
Yes, sir.
And stay focused. Stay focused. That's our message today. If you have any comments, why don't you call in 312-738-1060. What are we going to do about Eddie Johnson? How could he stand with this killer cop?
I think that Superintendent Johnson is caught in a web. And the reason I say that is because he has to deal with the Fraternal Order of Police,
sure,
which has always been a large looming specter in terms, especially in dealing with the black community. That's why Renault Robinson years ago had to form the African American Police League to represent the interests of blacks because the FOP wasn't doing it. When Dean Angelo was the president, he gave Jason Van Dyke, the executioner of Laquan McDonald, a part-time job to help him out. Now Kevin Graham is the new president of the FOP.
He's even worse.
and so when Superintendent Johnson, he's the superintendent of police, but he is not all powerful. And so there are these pressures, everybody, that comes on people that says you're going to have to do this to represent us, because if you don't, that means you're not for us. I would challenge some of these mayoral candidates to speak up to that.
And when we met with Superintendent Johnson, one of the things, if you remember, I told him, I said, Superintendent, I understand the realities of the context in which you're working in. Those realities of having to represent the police and lead the police.
Yes.
And I mentioned to him, but make sure that you're on the right side of history.
That's right.
Because history will judge him for his stewardship as to how he led Chicago Police Department at a time when stuff was volatile, and it's just time for change.
Yes.
Police reform is on the horizon. It's a time where it could be implemented, and we need courageous leadership from the superintendent. Got to be courageous.
He has to be courageous. He has to step up, has to be brave, has to make the hard decisions. And like you said, be on the right side of history. And you're going to come out all right. They may fire him, but he'll still come out all right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Listen, last month, you were with us at the Leaders Network. And those of you who want to get involved in some type of social justice organization, there's a Rainbow Push here, there's a NAACP, but there's also a Leaders Network. And we are grassroots, and we are a younger organization as far as tenure. We've only been around a dozen years, but it's faith-based led, Westside centered. Faith-based led, Westside centered. You participated in our annual conference in something called an intergenerational conversation. At this table, that Tuesday afternoon were young activists and community leaders like myself.
Yes.
And middle-aged guys like you.
You're in your 20s, I understand. Yeah.
And some older community leaders. And you were there, and many people felt it was a need to have an intergenerational conversation. Why was that important for you? Because I know you're very busy. You're doing your civil rights. You're serving the church, but you made your way to the table. Why was it important to you to be at that table? And what were some of the outcomes, if any, on that day?
I think what was really important, and from my experience in being involved in this work, is to communicate to those young activists, to those young freedom fighters, that this is not a sprint.
Sure.
It's a marathon. Mm-hmm. And so being in it for 1 year, being in it for 2 or 3 years, it's okay if that's the time you want to serve.
Absolutely.
But if you want to keep going, you realize that there's so much to be done.
Yes.
On the economic front, on the educational front,
yes.
on the social front, on all of these fronts, because you have opposition. You have other individuals who have other agendas who will come against you. And so, and also to help them to understand is that if you have a vision, don't base your vision on your budget. Base your vision on the fact that you have faith that this is going to work out. Because if you base it on the money you got, then the project won't even start. But
you know, there's a lot of enmity and animosity and division among us. And it was very crucial to me that we get to the same table, because yes. we all want the same thing. We yes. want good schools, we want health care, we want jobs, we want families to thrive, and we want economic empowerment. But it's so much ditch digging and throwing rocks and hiding your hands. And I thought it was good to get each other at the table as a start.
Yes.
Now, let's give some of the names. I know T.O. Hardeman was there representing
sure.
the older generation, and then you had who else?
Jedediah
Brown and Ruthie Moore, and
you had Chance the rapper's father, Ken Bennett, moderating the situation.
Absolutely,
because he's a bridge between both.
Yes, he has relationships with people, the old guys like you and Marsha Hatch,
the young guys
like me.
That's
and
right.
Chance.
That's right.
You're as young as you feel, by the way.
Without a doubt.
One of the things that came out of that meeting was we realized from sitting at the table that the words that Reverend Willie Barrow uttered years ago, that we're not as much as divided as we are disconnected. That those words still ring true. Many people are fighting each other, but we're on the same page. We're
yes.
not as much as divided as we are disconnected. So we got to the table and we realized that we share some of the same dreams, goals, and aspirations. But some people sitting at the table don't like Jedediah, mm-hmm. don't like T.O., mm-hmm. don't like me, and you don't even know me.
Right.
I'm out here, you need to know my story. I mean, people are lying. Somebody called me today, and I don't want to go here, but somebody called today and said, Reverend Ira Ackery, he used to be on the front line, but he's got contracts with Rom. You don't see him anymore. Well, I'm still out here.
Yes.
And I don't have any contracts with Rahm Emanuel at all.
Right.
At at all.
That's right.
At all. Okay? And so, but you got to get people to the table. You know, you don't have to throw rocks and hide your hands. We can talk to each other. We can talk to each other.
Well, you know what, Reverend Ackerman, you won't get wet until you jump in the water. And so one of the things that happens is that a lot of people think that certain leaders should step aside, or there's a age limit or whatever, age limit. Some people got an education criteria about who could be a leader and who can't. They got all these different criteria.
Right.
But that's not how leadership works. Leadership emerges.
Sure.
It grows up through it. It's like Tom Brady. I think he's been quarterbacking for the Patriots for 15, 16 seasons. Mm-hmm. Well, he's not going to give his starting position to anybody.
Right.
Every training camp, you got a chance to knock him off of there. Right. And guess what? They can't do it.
Absolutely.
And so the thing about leadership is, you know, Jesus said, you know, told James and John, he said, we want to sit on your right hand and your left. He said, that's good. I don't mind your ambition, but are you willing to go through what I got to go through? Woo. Are you willing to deal with that? He said, because you just wanted me to put you there, because if I give it to you, I don't know if you're strong enough to have it.
People want to criticize, but come on and get on this front line with us. You know, he want to be seen. No. It's easy to get out on this front line. The line is very short.
Right.
It is plenty of room.
What did Mike Tyson say? He said, everybody got plans until they get punched in the face. Can you take a hit? Absolutely. Can you take people lying on you? Can you take people talking about you? Can you take people never saying thank you? Are you in it for the right reason?
Listen, one of the things we committed to doing was talking.
Yes.
We're not talking. We're not talking. We're talking at each other and not to each other.
Come on, Doc.
And the older guys like us, honestly, we need to talk more to the young guys. And the young guys should be open to receiving some wisdom from people who are older. You know, every other community waters their roots.
Yes.
We urinate on ours. That's what Al Sharpton said. I want to quote Al Sharpton on that.
That sounds like Al.
Yeah. You know, and so one of the things we got to keep talking, and we came up with something that we're going to do that's not controversial, but it's putting us at the table. We hope that other things will be birthed from it, but we're calling it the Black Breakfast. Black Breakfast, and it's a series of once a month breakfasts. One on the west side, one on the south side. Then come back to the west side, then to the south side. And I'll just make the announcement. The first one is going to be July 14th, 2018. All right, let me see if I can put this on the screen on the overhead. Did it show up? All right, let's try it. I don't know if it shows up. But anyway, it's at MacArthur's, 5412 West Madison Street, and breakfast is served at 10:45 a.m. And we're not so much as divided as we are disconnected. Join us as we launch Black Breakfast. All are welcome. Yeah. Goals. Here's the goals. Black Breakfast. Support a black-owned restaurant. Explore factual information. You know, we're going to get our own information out there. You know, people put fake information out there talking about what's going on. We're gonna talk about the data ourselves. You know, do you not know that when you look at the police department, 52% of the police department officers stay in 5 wards. 52% of them stay in 5 wards. A lot of us don't know that. That's information.
That's right.
You know, we also want to build community, and by the same token, we're going to be supporting another black business. Black Breakfast. You'll see it. That's the hashtag.
Hashtag Black Breakfast.
Listen, talk to me about our friend, the late Joe Jackson. We pay tribute to him. Joe Jackson, he passed away last week, and at the age of 89, he was laid to rest alongside his son, the king of pop.
That's right.
Michael Jackson in Glendale, California. His wife was Catherine. They were married 69 years.
Wow.
Had some ups and downs, but they stayed the course.
Yes.
He had an outside child. They stayed the course. They even accused him of being abusive, but stayed the course.
Yes.
We appreciate the life and the legacy of Joe Jackson. We must always respect and treasure our own. Much love to you, Joe.
Love you, Joe. Never say goodbye. And you know what, Doc? When you talk about Hollywood parents, you talk about Joe and Catherine Jackson up there in Gary, Indiana,
Sure.
coming out the steel mill, working with their kids because they see some talent there. This is 1967 when Purvis Spann, the blues man, brings these 5 boys to Operation Push.
Yeah.
Operation Breadbasket.
At that time, yeah.
And a young Afro-wearing, mutton chop, dashiki-wearing, medallion-wearing Jesse Jackson. Purvis Spann said, I got 5 boys you need to hear. And Jesse said, we ain't got room for them on the program. You got to hear them.
All right.
And Reverend Jackson said, when the 5 boys got up there and little Michael started spinning and singing, it was all over. But the fight had only just begun.
We are out of time.
Oh, man.
Greg Livingston, you always get hot at the end. See you next week. God bless you. Same time, same place. We're coming back at you. It's going to be going down. All hands on deck.
All hands on deck. My brother.